Welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today I'm sitting down with Daphne. Daphne is a current student in our Academy program, and we're so excited to sit down with her today and really get to know her story and her process through university applications, scholarship applications, her whole grade 12 year. And get to really sit down and know, her process and see what advice she has to give for future students. So welcome, Daphne.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, of course, no problem. So first off, I wanted to ask you, what school are you planning on attending, and what's your career goal?
I'm going to be attending McMaster University in the fall for engineering. I'm still not entirely sure what my career plan is yet. Um, Obviously, would kind of be an engineer at this point. Not sure what stream, so luckily I'm taking a general first year and we'll be able to figure it out after that. But I also took engineering because you can go into med school even with engineering. So that's also an option. So that's kind of why I picked that, so I could keep both doors open of the medical and the engineering.
I love that. That's really awesome that you point that out because a lot of students might not really know what they want to do. And so I love how you actually did a whole process where you applied to many different schools. And so it gave you that option to really pick and choose what you really wanted to do. And I know that you really broke down, you're like, okay, if I do engineering, that'll also give you the opportunity to go to med school, which is also an interest that you have. So I think that a lot of students, might feel like they need to have this one dead set goal, but you can really ultimately, work your schooling into however you'd like. So that's really cool that you've decided that option, and are wanting to do that.
Yeah, I'm
Excellent.
really excited.
Awesome. And so I wanted to ask you, where were you at with the scholarship and university application process prior to grade 12?
Well, I did the grade 11 program too,
Mm,
so that was really helpful. Prior to grade 12, I think I did like one in the summer, one application in August. But other than that, I hadn't really done any of them yet. I'd been looking like for them, like myself and everything like that, going through websites, deciding which ones I thought would be a good fit for me and stuff like that. And then uh, uh, not kind of like just looking for scholarships. I was also kind of trying to build like my resume to get scholarships. So
mm.
I was volunteering, I was doing my job, like just working part time, and then I was also kind of preparing for school next year. I was also kind of preparing for school next year because I knew that I was gonna have a really heavy schedule because I was having to take so many courses to cover prerequisites across a bunch of different programs.
Yeah.
So I was kind of preparing myself to go into all these AP sciences and maths and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot of your, prior to grade 12 starting was a lot about prepping and making sure that you can fit everything that you wanted to do in your schedule, which is super important. And I think that's really awesome that you took that time to really schedule out, okay, I've got these AP classes that I want to take. I remember also you being on webinars just after your dance classes as well. And so you were dancing, you were also doing volunteer work. So you had this really heavy schedule, but you were so diligent in the way that you scheduled out your time and prepared that beforehand. So it's really awesome to see. And so I wanted to ask you, how did you get to where you're at now? Meaning, what does it look like to be kind of successful in this process?
Um, well, there's a lot of different things that you have to do to be successful. It's not like just one thing that's like, okay, if you do this, you'll be fine. One thing that probably was my biggest struggle the entire time through was time management because, like you said, I was really busy with so many different things and then plus just social life too.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing for me was figuring out how to time manage my schedule. By I kind of have like this big calendar on my wall that is like 4 months and it's a whiteboard. So I would literally write out like assignments that I would have due coming up and exams and tests, and then I would also write out scholarship deadlines, like when they have to be in, and then also how early I needed to submit them to GrantMe, so that I would be able to kind of plan how I needed to do that to have it in on time and corrected by you guys. So I think that that was the most important part for me, and then just planning ahead, also not just the scholarships, but also working in time to do my schoolwork that wasn't necessarily focused on scholarships, so that if I did have one where I needed to do it in like a day because I just had pushed it to the last minute, I had that chance instead of having to like do an assignment or something like that.
Exactly. No, I love that. I love hearing that you have the projected 4 months. I had that in university my first year. I remember going to the bookstore and buying a specific calendar that showed me 4 months ahead so I could plan everything out. And you've already caught on to that, right in your grade 12 years. So that's really awesome to hear. I feel like yeah, with time management, it's really awesome that you talk about that because a lot of students might not consider that. And then also at the same time, students might have different ways of how they organize their time management. So it's really nice to hear how you plan that out and the different aspects of your life in grade 12 and how you plan that out accordingly. So that's great. Yeah, so I basically want to ask you, how has the program helped you so far?
It's been really helpful with not only like scholarships, but also like becoming a better person, I guess. Um, because before scholarships, like I don't want to like it sounds kind of bad, but I wasn't doing a lot. Like I was doing my sports and stuff, and I was doing school, and I was doing like a little bit of volunteering, but I definitely stepped it up a lot when I realized like what it took to win
Mhm.
scholarships. So I started getting more involved with my school and community. So I think that was a really big bonus that I didn't expect to get out of the program. I thought that okay, they'll like help me with like figuring out my future, winning some money, that'd be great or whatever. But then I was like, oh, I'm a better person for this. So I think that's that's probably the most important part that's come out of this. And I know that that will definitely carry forward because I realize how kind of fulfilling it is to help out and how it's actually fun and how you get to meet new people and how you get to do these tiny accomplishments that might not necessarily be just for you. Like getting into my dream school was just for me, but now I'm actually doing something that can help other people too.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really important thing that I didn't expect, but I'm really grateful to have.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I love hearing about that. That's amazing. I know, just, when you go into something, you have this goal, but then all of a sudden you develop these other skills along with it. And, being part of that whole university application and scholarship process, it takes a lot of dedication, motivation, time management, which are all skills that you can bring to university now and be diligent in your work. And I think that that's really cool to hear, from being one of the team members at GrantMe, that is what you got out of the program as well and what helped you throughout the process. So, oh, that's so nice to hear, Daphne. Great. And so I wanted to ask you a last question was, what would be your biggest piece of advice to students who are just about to start this whole university application and scholarship process?
Um, I would say don't come in with a set plan, which I know I said before plan, but stuff happens where you might miss a scholarship, and if you just beat yourself up about it, it's like that can be really like unmotivating and stuff like that. So I think the most important thing is to have goals, obviously, coming in of what you want to do and where you want to go, but it's okay that if you don't know exactly what program you want to do, or it's okay if you don't know exactly, okay, I want to win this much money,
Yeah.
because then if you set realistic goals but understand that sometimes there'll be bumps in the road getting there, and to just honestly embrace the process. Like at the beginning I was kind of like, oh my goodness, this is so much work, like what am I going to get out of this? And it was kind of like overwhelming. So I think that I was kind of like thinking, okay, I'll do the bare minimum at first, and I was like, and I'll get everything done, I'll hand everything in, but I don't know, like maybe it'll be fine. But I think that after I really embraced like the process of everything and became, I remember Madison saying in so many of the videos right at the start was, you're not just going to become a person who wins scholarships, you're going to become the type of person that wins scholarships. And at first I was like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And I realized how true that is.
No, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that you remembered that. That is so cool. And yeah, I think that letting students know that if you have a plan, I even remember myself like being grade 11, grade 12, having all these plans in my head, and they totally did not end up happening, or like things got altered and changed. But I think if you truly dive into, the personal development skills that you've developed throughout this entire time, those are the things that are really going to push you forward into whatever you want to do in post-secondary school and things like that, and really show your success there. So that's really awesome to hear, and I think that everything you've said in this interview is going to be really valuable to students coming into the program and really learning from your experience and what you want to do and what you did throughout this process. So yeah, I wanted to thank you so much for taking time to sit down with me today and chat about your process.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Daphne. We'll take care and we'll speak with you soon.
Okay, awesome. I'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.